So I'm here at Y'all Fest, and I have a lovely guest with me. If you don't know who this is Alex Bracken. She's an author. She's written like a billion books.
I know, it's like climbing up there now, the number.
She started with The Darkest Minds, and now she has Passenger coming out in January. She just had a Star Wars book that came out.
Yeah.
She's writing middle grade books now. Like, she's doing everything. It's crazy.
Trying to like hit every marker and every point.
Yeah, do everything. You know, it's all fine.
Gotta
Just
keep things
do it all.
interesting.
Obviously, you have Passenger coming out in January.
Yes.
And I love Passenger. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. So what inspired you to write Passenger? Because it's kind of different from the other stuff you've been doing.
Yeah, I mean, that was like a big concern for me, that it would be so different from The Darkest Minds that people would be like, wah! Because it's just like
historical fiction kind of.
Yeah, it's like fantasy, historical fiction, adventure, romance. It's like a bunch, it's like all of my favorite things. So that's really why I wrote it. And that's sort of why I wrote The Darkest Minds too. It was just sort of like a mashup of everything I love in life, like road trip, superpowers, classic rock music. But with Passenger, I had studied history in college, and I love early American history in particular.
Oh, cool.
It was sort of like my focus. So I liked studying like old dead white guys before it was cool with Hamilton.
Of course.
But I just like wanted to write something completely different, because The Darkest Minds is like kind of sad.
Yeah.
It's like goes to very dark places, and I wanted this to be kind of serious too, but also have kind of a lightness that The Darkest Minds is now.
So I have to bring it up because you brought it up. Hamilton. How much do you love Hamilton?
I just want to know where everyone else was when I was a creepy 23-year-old going down to visit Alexander Hamilton's tomb.
Oh my gosh, I actually have a friend who was Snapchatting me, and she's like, I'm at Alexander Hamilton's house, and I was like, I wish I could be there with you.
Well, I went to his grave, which is even weirder.
You do what you gotta do.
Yeah, no, it's down in Trinity Church's graveyard in Lower Manhattan, like right by Wall Street. I love it. I like just recently got to listen to it all the way through, and I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Because he captures, using like very modern lingo, as the kids say, he captures like all of the different personalities. Like Thomas Jefferson, kind of a whiner, kind of like into himself. And they all of these like grown ass men were like fighting for George Washington's affection. Like they were like, funny. You're my adopted father, not his. So I think it's amazing. And like everyone sings like an angel too.
Of course.
Which is your favorite song?
Oh my gosh, that's a hard question.
I know, because I keep like going down the list, and I'm like,
it's like all of them are my favorites. I don't know, because like I started out really enjoying Act 1, but then Act 2 is so good. So it's like, I don't know. I'm really trying to start rapping My Shot. So like that's the one I'm working on right now. But I've worked through almost all of them. They're all really great. Do you have a favorite?
I really like My Shot. I don't know. I just like Satisfied.
Oh my gosh, I love Satisfied.
Helpless, like that
whole
back to
area.
back, that
so
whole
good.
stretch.
You can't just like listen to one. You have to listen to them like all in order.
No, and like when you're listening to it, you're kind of like, I get it, because you've seen the $10 bill, and you're like, of all of the founding fathers, you were kind of the Fox Alexander Hamilton.
True.
So
true. Have you started Wayfarer, and how far along are you, I guess?
I have started Wayfarer. It's technically, the first draft is due in January, so I am a little more than halfway done with it. It's really fun. It's like, what's not fun about time travel writing it is that there are so many rules, and like everything creates a paradox. So you like will constantly write yourself into corners, and you're like have to like explain why this is not a paradox. So with Wayfarer, it's really fun because I can just sort of like, with some gentle reminders about how this world works, can just like jump into the action, and without giving too much away, it's like double the like historical locations.
Oh, cool.
And it kind of there are sort of like two parallel journeys happening, as you might be able to like.
I can guess where we're going with it.
No spoilers.
No spoilers.
And so eventually they'll kind of cross again, but one is sort of dealing in the like far past, and one is dealing with like sort of an alternate future. So I got to put in some alternate history.
Cool.
Yeah,
that's
really
really great. I'm actually super excited. Like I'm really mad that I have to wait so long for it.
I'm sorry.
But I'm glad that I've read that.
We're gonna try to get the ARCs like actually on time this time. So
I'm excited. It's gonna be great. So why did you choose to write it as a duology instead of like a trilogy or something?
it was so. I don't know if it's just like my attention span as a writer. I just felt like when I was writing the Darkest Minds series, by the time I finished In the Afterlight, I was like emotionally exhausted because it's like spending basically 4 years with these characters, and like, so I have so many fond feelings for those characters and I love them so much from the Darkest Minds. But with this, it just like had kind of come to me as being like a two-parter, like there was a natural split in the story. So I sort of see it as like one continuous story, obviously, where hopefully the first part is self-contained enough that you don't feel gypped at the end. But it really is meant to be like a two-parter, and the second part kind of like turns things on its head. So.
Yeah. I'm gonna say there is a little bit of a cliffhanger at the end of the
Yeah,
first
I'm
one.
sorry. I'm sorry.
I was like finishing it, I was like, this is crazy.
Bracken.
Typical Alexander Bracken book. In The Darkest Minds, you have the Black Betty crew.
Yeah.
If your passenger characters were to go on a road trip in Black Betty, what do you think would happen?
Oh my gosh, this is amazing. So Etta, I don't know who would drive, because Etta grew up in like New York City, and a lot of New Yorkers just never get their driver's license. So I don't think she has hers. And then Nicholas would just be like confounded, and he would probably be like very startled by the music and everything. Although like he's a time traveler too. He like is. Can like pick up on modern English and all of that, but it would really be almost like an episode of Sleepy Hollow where he's just like extremely startled by everything he comes across. I think it'd be fun though. I think they would definitely road trip, especially down the East Coast. Like he would want to see the cities that he knew from the 18th century in modern times.
I think that would be so fun.
Yeah.
Well, kind of going along with that question, you have a really good friend who's also an author. Her name is Sarah J. Maas.
Yes.
And so I'm kind of just wondering, she talks about her characters so interestingly, and your characters are so interesting. What do you think would happen if her like Throne of Glass characters like hung out with your passenger characters?
I feel like, I just think like of her characters as being like so supernaturally powerful and beautiful. I think like Nicholas and Etta would be like, we're gonna just moonwalk back out of this room. Like how do you even like confront those characters when they're like so, you know, gorgeous and tall and huge and like beautiful. Rowan would just be like towering over everyone.
I feel like Etta would have some kind of sassy comment for Rowan.
Yeah.
She would like try and like stand up to them, and she'd be like, okay, just kidding, I'm gonna leave.
Yeah, she would just be like kind of, it's just like her typical New Yorker attitude of being like kind of wary of everything.
You've written or published, I guess, 6 or 7 books.
Yeah.
So like, which one has been the easiest and the hardest to write?
Oh my gosh. I feel like the Darkest Minds just sort of like poured out of me. And it's funny too, because now I'm working on like a short story for people who pre-order Passenger. It's Liam's story between the Darkest Minds and Never Fade. And I can like just like bang out.
Go.
Yeah, it's amazing. I just like know that world and those characters so well. I feel like Never Fade was really hard to write because my dad had passed away, and it was sort of like just a tough thing to like meet that deadline when you're grieving. But then like Passenger was just, as you could probably tell by the fact that there were 2 different sets of ARCs, it just was something that I was like not struggling to get right, but trying to like reach my intention with it, and that just like took time and some extra cooking.
Yeah,
So,
probably. Interesting. And
the paradoxes.
The paradoxes. Time travel, it seems like it would be just really,
really hard to
to
write.
write. Like you have to have a lot of notes and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like a scientific thing in this book. It's really more like magic, I would say. And you find out more in book 2 about like the origins of the travelers and like why these passages were created to begin with.
So do you have a favorite character that you've written?
Just like of all time?
Of all that you've written.
I feel like I have like such a soft spot for Chubbs from the Darkest Minds series.
Yes,
I think because he reacts to situations the way I would. He's so high strung that it's fun to kind of like rile him up.
Yeah.
Even as like an author, and that's why you see like Liam teasing him so much. Is because he's so easy to provoke a reaction from him. But I also really love Nicholas. I just like writing in his voice, and I like that he is someone who just like goes for what he wants. And it's just like awesome.
While we're talking about writing, it's obviously NaNoWriMo.
Yes.
Are you doing NaNoWriMo?
I'm doing it like pretty unofficially, just because I sort of had to stop working on Wayfarer to work on the Liam story, so it sort of is like messing up my word count a little bit. But I guess I'm just like counting the words for Liam along with this. But I did NaNoWriMo, my first ever novel I wrote when I was in college. And I finished, but it turned into like this 150,000 word beast that was filled, I'm not even joking, with every cliche imaginable.
Oh my gosh.
So hopefully I got those all out of my system, but that book obviously
Not published.
lives forever in a drawer.
Oh yeah, all of the old NaNoWriMo novels I have are.
But it's great. I think like your nano could be anything. I love the spirit of it. Like it could be 20,000 words. It could be like finishing those 3 chapters you've been putting off. Like don't like beat yourself up over it if you don't meet the goal.
Do you have any like good writer advice? Which is super cliche to ask, but
just like in general, you mean?
yeah, or like the best writer advice you've ever gotten, anything like that.
My best writer advice is probably to read everything, which is advice that I think a lot of authors give, but really just like different kinds of books than you would normally even consider, because you can learn so much about from like the structure of them, the way the authors develop the characters. So like if you're someone who reads mostly romance novels, like check out a mystery, like check out that has like a very specific plot structure that's really interesting to kind of study and pick apart. Also, don't beat yourself up over it. Like don't take it so seriously that you forget the heart of writing is like having fun and living in your imagination.
Do you have any authors that you have looked up to or like role models?
What a good question. I mean, my ultimate author idol is J.K. Rowling, just because I was Harry's age when Harry Potter first came out, so I feel like I really grew up with Harry.
Yeah.
And I just admire her as a person so much, who's so just charitable, really. And just, I love her on Twitter. Do you follow her? I'm assuming. She's just like so good with the takedowns. I'm like, yeah.
It's like she got sassier since she got on Twitter.
I think so.
It's
I think
crazy.
she just like is now like getting the because I will say that if you're on social media, you do like expose yourself to more voices, good and bad. And I think like before she was not like isolated, but she was like in her Scottish castle. You can just imagine her with like a cup of tea and just like writing. Probably with a quill on parchment.
Probably. She has like owls all around her and they're like hooting.
Every once in a while a feather drips.
Yeah.
But I mean the real reason I wanted to become a writer was because of Roald Dahl. I just want to say like Roland Dahl for some reason. Roald Dahl.
It's an interesting name.
It's like I don't know why I have like a speech impediment when I say his name, Roald Dahl. I just remember being in 3rd grade and reading his books, like devouring them and thinking like, well surely if it's this fun to like read children's books, it must be this fun to write children's books. So like, from 3rd grade I was like, I'm gonna write books for children, for the children. I was thinking about this the other day and like, I think picture books are the hardest of any kind of children's book to write, because you have to distill not your message, but your story, and I have a hard time containing my page count. But just like hitting upon a story that's like both delightful for the reader and for the parent, like it's an art.
Yeah.
It really is, and I cannot draw, so I would have to like
Find an illustrator.
Yeah.
It could happen. You got a long time ahead of you.
Maybe I'll write like a picture book about my puppy, Tennyson.
I think I would buy that, and I think everybody else in the
Just
book
he's like
would buy
incapable
it.
of making puppy friends because he doesn't know how friendship works yet.
There you go.
Yeah.
Perfect. We got our first picture book by Alex Bracken about Tennyson.
Tennyson.
It was lovely talking to you.
Thank you for having me.
And I hope you have a lovely rest of your day.
You too. Have fun at Y'all
I
Fest.
will. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and we'll talk to you guys later.
Bye.